Music biopics set out to tell us the stories behind the greatest artists to ever walk Earth. But unfortunately, rather than giving us the honest truth, every music biopic ends up the exact same.
If there's one genre I think is the most disreputable genre out there and I never want to have anything to do with it, it's the biopic. I can't stand the biopics.
Never seen one you like?
Not really, alright? They're all just showcases for actors to win awards.
Like legendary director Quentin Tarantino agrees, the entire genre is a broken formula stuffed full of lies. However, the new Michael Jackson movie literally just scored the biggest biopic opening in box office history. So what's the problem then? Well, I've actually nailed our issue down to 2 specific reasons, and after this video, you'll never be able to watch them the same again.
The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood, so it's fantasy land. It's not real, but it's sold to you as real, and a lot is sugar-coated, like the narrative is being controlled.
Before we reveal the crazy lengths these narratives are being controlled, first though, what even is a biopic? Short for biographical picture, a biopic refers to any movie that is built around the life of a real person, and over the past decade, one in particular has taken over Hollywood: the music biopic.
Q, can you lower the lights for me, please?
Every time you hit the theater, there is some new movie about a musician promising to portray the real story. Bob Marley, Whitney Houston, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Elvis, the Tupac movie that was named after his album, Amy Winehouse, Elton John, Bohemian Rhapsody, or straight Outta Compton only to scratch the surface, and of course Michael. All of these movies unfortunately suffer from these same 2 problems. What you're looking at here are 2 different Michael Jackson biopics. One just scored the biggest biopic opening ever, while the other strictly lives on as a meme for all of the wrong reasons.
Bobby, I mean, she makes me feel
like a man.
Oh.
Incredibly cringe acting and dancing aside, when it comes to the 2004 Man in the Mirror Michael Jackson story, instead of MJ's iconic hits, this film was seriously forced to play elevator music throughout. No Billie Jean, no Thriller, no Beat It. The reason being, considering that their version of the story took a significantly darker approach, as a result, the filmmakers were denied access to Michael's music, which leads us to our first major problem. If a biopic wants access to an artist's legendary music, then they need granted permission by their estate. In my opinion, this is a must, because you can't make a biopic about the king of pop without playing any of his songs. However, with that said, like The Guardian states though, this comes at a price both literally and figuratively. These rights come at a cost, and whoever controls the songs also controls the story. So, whenever Hollywood approaches one of these artist labels and surviving family members with the idea to make a new biopic, the ones left in control will almost always require one thing: that they don't tarnish the brand in any way.
And the fact that it's being sanctioned by the Jackson family absolutely makes it feel a little sanitized and a little safe.
Regardless if a controversial event played a crucial role in an artist's career or not, in what many simply call a PR cleanup, instead, these big blockbusters almost always like to portray these artists as some glorified figure who could do no wrong. Whether it be the 2015 Straight Outta Compton film, which involved several NWA members themselves in production as well as Ice Cube's son, before choosing to leave controversies out of the script like Dr. Dre's legal battles, for example.
Such as Straight Outta Compton, which has Ice Cube and Dr. Dre as producers. You can feel them controlling the narrative. That narrative being, hey, not only am I a musical genius, but I'm a good person too. The
Bob Marley biopic that brought his son on board as a producer, resulting in no mention of the SA allegations claimed by Marley's wife, or the new Michael Jackson film that we're about to break down more in a sec, starring his nephew.
This movie was made with the blessing of Michael's family. Damn man, his own nephew plays the lead role, so in a lot of ways it's a sanitized, respectful kind of film that portrays Michael in the best possible light and tactfully ends its narrative before the, more uncomfortable stuff that happened later in his life.
Basically, whether you like it or not, you have to play nice with the people at the top who hold the rights. Bob read every line of the script, and the movie is 100% the Bob Dylan view of the Bob Dylan story. One insider revealed of a complete unknown, the recent Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet, and artistically, I think it suffers tremendously as a result. But if after hearing the secret control that takes place behind the scenes, and how most of these are just brand deals with scripts, and you're thinking, okay, then I'll just make the film without any big hit songs in it, again, as was the case with the 2004 MJ movie that horrendously flopped, or the 2020 David Bowie biopic Stardust that was totally forgotten due to being denied rights to his music, in my opinion, it's not even worth it to try.
Bobby, I can't bring another child into this world. Call the lawyers. Cancel the surrogate.
It's too late, Michael. She's already pregnant.
Look at this, Bobby. Look at this.
In another effort to protect these legends' legacies, along with skipping over bumps in a timeline that could ruffle any feathers, it is also very common to see these movies twist reality if it makes for a better story arc. For example, take 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody, the #1 highest total grossing music biopic ever at the moment, to be determined if Michael will moonwalk past it. In Bohemian Rhapsody though, there's this emotional scene where Freddie Mercury tells the rest of Queen about his AIDS diagnosis, right before their closing concert.
I've got it. Got what? AIDS. I wanted you to hear it from me.
However, in reality, Freddie Mercury wasn't even diagnosed until 2 years later. But at least it made for a better story, right? And this is just one of the endless examples.
Despite what Bohemian Rhapsody told you, Freddie Mercury didn't introduce himself to Brian May and Roger Taylor. In fact, he already knew all three of them, and they were even roommates for a short amount of time. The movie would also lead you to believe that John Deacon was their original bassist.
Rather than showing us the full, raw truth, music biopics almost always turn into the same recycled product. To make matters even worse, biopics are forced to cram decades into 2 hours. Whether you are a global icon like Michael Jackson or some homeless guy on the street, no human's life can properly be told from start to finish in a 2-hour time frame. That is, without leaving out chunks of key info. And like you might guess, not only are the first plot points to get cut out the most controversial, such as any allegations they faced, but due to the length of movies, this forces so many important events to either get skipped or quickly skimmed over.
They had moments in Mike's life that they wanted to highlight. So it went from 68, you young, the Jackson 5, we working and we doing talent shows. The very next time it jumps to 78 or some shit, you want to be starting something that's out. No. And then they jumped from that to the nose job. They just popped up and now he's in front of the mirror with bandages on his nose. Wait, no, you can't.
How long was the movie?
These are things you, 2 hours. These are things that you can't quickly just gloss over.
For example, in Straight Outta Compton, Eazy-E's death arrives only 6 minutes after his diagnosis, and Dr. Dre's debut album The Chronic is reduced down to a billboard. Or back to Bohemian Rhapsody, where it's like one night they're performing at this tiny venue to a few people, and then boom, the next second there are stars rocking sold-out stadiums. Again, I get that they are movies, and sure, you can't show everything. However, at the same time, these biopics can easily turn into a Wikipedia page disguised as a video. Just a sequence of basic surface-level events with no real plot, leading us to our second major problem. Every music biopic follows the same broken formula.
The formula becomes a sort of biopic Mad Libs. Just fill out the list and you've got a new movie. What childhood tragedy? Which family member doesn't believe in them? What location does their inevitable meltdown happen in? But that's what these movies have done. They've turned real people's complicated lives into cliches. Bohemian Rhapsody, one of the few music biopics to actually show some of the creative process, still simplifies it to cartoonish levels. A band member will play a riff or a beat, then the film will cut straight to them performing the finished song. This is how the songwriting process is portrayed.
Oh, that's really good.
Back in 2007, one movie quietly released that should have ended this over-recycled genre forever. 2 years removed from Walk the Line, which told the rise of country music legend Johnny Cash. Instead, John C. Reilly was cast to play the role of this different rising star.
But I plan on walking. Oh, I'm gonna walk. Hard.
Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story was an incredible satire of music biopics that honestly nailed every single trope in the book. From the traumatic childhood event, which you can guarantee will always happen at the beginning.
Dewey, I'm cutting half pretty bad. In case I don't make it, then you have to be double great. For the both of us.
Then to feeling like they don't fit in with other normal kids, that super Hollywoodized scene where they record their breakout hit in the studio, and cornily convince a record label.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4". Hey, that was dope, eh?
Walk hard. Hard. Walk bold.
To then, of course, the endless concert scenes and performance montages where the artist's greatest hits play over the speakers. But after they finally reach fame, then comes the inevitable downhill spiral and dark period that occurs where our musician turns away from everyone and questions life's true meaning.
Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox?
Dewey Cox needs to think about his entire life before he plays.
All of this has to happen in order for us to build up to that cliche final performance and triumphant comeback on a massive stage. But if you really want to end a biopic right, you gotta close with a freeze frame and some on-screen text to explain what happened to the characters next. Walk Hard proved that if you've seen one music biopic, well then you've seen them all, just with a different soundtrack slapped on top. However, despite their formula exposed, in the past decade, Hollywood has doubled down and has been pumping out music biopics like crazy. Different artists, different eras, but somehow still the same movies. Now, with their massive studio budgets, a lot of these impressions are actually executed well, and on the rare occasion, amazing.
Well, I'd like to say how happy we are to be down here. It's a real honor for us to get a chance to appear on Louisiana Hayride.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
With everything considered, if you are lucky enough to secure access to, let's say, Elvis's legendary catalog, although it can be easy to write off the back of some of the greatest music ever recorded, music biopics are therefore forced to prove their quality in scenes that don't include these classic hits or albums. Depending on the movie, those can be few and far between, because for a lot of biopics today, they truly feel like we're just watching recreated music videos or a replay of old concerts.
This movie is just one giant music video.
But mostly it's like listening to a greatest hits album, except in a movie. You're watching like, and here's this scene, and this is a song you love, and this is a song you love, and this is a song you also love.
One of the most common complaints about the new Michael Jackson movie is how they played it all too safe and left out Michael's numerous controversies, like the New York Times states, to scrub clean his reputation. However, it turns out the director actually didn't have a choice. With a mind-blowing $97 million at the domestic box office, the 2026 Michael Jackson movie just surpassed Oppenheimer's record to secure the biggest biopic opening of all time. Starring Michael's nephew, Jafar Jackson, in his cinema debut, this movie also just broke the record for the most expensive music biopic ever made. So what cost so much money? $200 million to be exact. Well, despite alleged plans to, quote, include both Jackson's undeniable creative genius and his human side, as well as his personal struggles, in an honest portrayal, on literally the day when the director says he was handed in his final cut, though, he received a phone call that changed everything.
This is one of those things where it's like, how the hell did this happen? That headline reads, Michael Jackson biopic blindsided by a deal with a family member of a molestation accuser facing massive reshoots.
Reports claim that the new Michael movie was set to actually explore the multiple SA allegations brought forth against Michael Jackson beginning in the 90s, with much of his third act devoted to the scandal and impact. But that was until his attorney called with some script-shaking news. They realized that there was a clause in the settlement with one of Jackson's accusers, Jordan Chandler, from the 1993 allegations, that apparently banned the mention of him in any movie. Thus, they had to drop $50 million more on basically reshooting the entire ending, delaying its release by a year, and now shaping the drama more around Michael's father in the Jackson 5. However, of course, Hollywood couldn't help but still bend the facts. I read one of the first drafts of the script and gave my notes about what was dishonest and didn't sit right with me. When they didn't address it, I moved on with my life, typed Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris, in one of her multiple posts criticizing the film. At Coleman Domingo, the actor who plays Michael's dad, don't be telling people I was helpful on the set of a movie I had zero involvement in. LOL, that is so weird.
A big reason why I haven't said anything up until this point is because I know a lot of you guys are going to be happy with it.
The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood, so it's fantasy land. It's not real, but it's sold to you as real. A lot of sugar-coated, like the narrative is being controlled, and there's a lot of inaccuracy, and there's a lot of just full-blown lies. And at the end of the day, like, that doesn't really fly with me. I don't really like dishonesty. I spoke up. Y'all are gonna like the movie, so just go watch it, go enjoy it, do whatever, leave me out of it.
Something that like quite a lot of people are saying is like, she hates her dad because I'm not like calling the shots on set, being a big shot producer of a movie that's filled with just inaccuracies. That's not where I'm coming from. I just prefer honesty over like sales and monetary gain. Like, that's it.
If you ask Paris Jackson, the movie is totally sugar-coated and contains full-blown lies about her family. Without giving away any spoilers, the new Michael movie attempts to tell his rise from Gary, Indiana into the biggest entertainer on the planet. But while it is important for us to note that Michael Jackson always asserted his innocence to the various allegations, which began in the 90s, the Michael movie, though, chooses to conveniently drop the curtain in 1988.
In fact, the way the film approaches Michael's life story, it kind of ends at a point in time that conveniently was before all of that, so it just doesn't need to be talked about in any way. Anyway.
Okay, this movie is coming together really well.
Read it back to me.
Got his childhood, the Joe Jackson stuff, got Michael's head getting burnt, the victory tour, bad.
This is gonna be incredible. Okay, what's next?
What would you say to folks who see this and they're like, you know what? They whitewashed that part.
The film takes place, from the 60s to 1988.
But of course, the director has publicly said that there may in fact be a sequel to the movie and using that to sell moviegoers on a second film.
But it sounds like there may be a sequel.
It could be. We don't know yet.
The price is right.
Like, all that really does is speak to just how much of a cash grab those involved with this movie see it as, honestly.
As of this video, it's unclear if the sequel Part 2 will ever actually be made, considering Michael's controversial years that followed, and the tiptoeing in so much gray area that they would have to do. However, while the box office numbers so far will likely have them squeezing at least one more out, reviews from critics on the other hand have not been nearly as great, with many praising Jafar's performance but heavily criticizing how sanitized the script is, feeling more like a branded PR advertisement than a movie, when in reality, Michael Jackson's career was far more complicated.
This movie did not touch upon or explore enough of Michael's psyche, his motivations, the complexities of who he was as a person that I think is so fascinating. The movie feels like it plays it safe, and everyone assumes I'm just talking about, oh, you're just mad they didn't bring up the allegations. You just wanted them to talk about the allegations. I'm like, no, literally, put the allegations aside. Michael was literally a person that had 1,000 different interesting aspects about him. And maybe that is the crutch and why the movie sometimes feels like it's speed running through his Wikipedia page telling you moment, music video, moment, music video.
Having seen the movie, the real problem is that Michael is not a human being in it. The top comment reads, "He has a brand. They treat him like how Disney treats Mickey Mouse. He is flawless and has nothing negative to say and never makes mistakes." It felt like I was watching propaganda about a politician. Having seen the movie myself, I will also agree. However, at the end of the day, this propaganda clearly works. The same exact week he broke movie theater records, Michael Jackson's music shattered his biggest streaming week ever. Keep in mind that streaming didn't exist back in the 80s, but still, with his hits reflooding the charts and his streams more than doubling his previous career high, Michael is the latest proof that these music biopics are simply nostalgia bait packaged together to profit off a new generation. Following the straight Outta Compton movie, the album spiked up to a record peak on the Billboard 200, over 25 years since its initial release. Both Elton John and Elvis saw their monthly listeners jump by multiple millions as well, while Queen streams tripled in 2018 before they used that momentum to announce a new tour together. Although I'm not saying we still can't enjoy these movies and every scene in them is fantasy, music biopics don't exist to tell us the truth, but rather to protect a brand, resell some old music, and introduce artists to a new generation. So the next time a movie promises to finally reveal the untold story, just remember what you're watching isn't really it, but rather the 2-hour version that Hollywood was allowed to sell you.